This man was one of the most feared killers in America. For months, no one knew where he would strike next. No warning, no pattern, no way to stop him. People would go to sleep in their own homes, thinking they were safe. And then, in the middle of the night, everything changed, because this wasn't someone breaking in loudly or forcing his way through a door. Sometimes, there were no signs at all, no noise, no struggle at first, just the quiet realization that someone was already inside your home, inside your room, watching, waiting. His name was Richard Ramirez, and the fear he created was so intense that an entire city changed the way it lived. People locked every door, checked every window, stayed awake longer than they should, because they all understood one thing. This wasn't just a killer. This was someone who could be anywhere and choose anyone. And that's why they called him the Night Stalker. Between 1984 and 1985, Los Angeles was living in fear. At first, people didn't fully understand what was happening. There were reports of attacks, home invasions, and victims from completely different neighborhoods. It didn't make sense. This wasn't one area, it wasn't one type of home, and it wasn't one kind of person being targeted. The attacks felt random, unpredictable, like they could happen anywhere, at any time. As more cases appeared, the fear began to spread. People started locking every window, checking every door before going to bed, then checking them again, just to be sure. Some stayed up later than usual. Some slept with the lights on. Some even changed their routines completely. But it didn't help them feel safe, because no one could figure out a pattern. There was no clear warning sign, no specific neighborhood being targeted, no way to know where he would go next. He didn't target only the rich. He didn't target only the elderly. He didn't stay in one part of the city. He chose anyone. And that may have been the most terrifying part of all. Usually, when people hear about crime, they find a way to distance themselves from it. They tell themselves, that wouldn't happen to me. I don't live there. I'm not the kind of person they would target. But this time, people couldn't say that, because there was no pattern to hide behind, no safe neighborhood, no safe routine, no way to feel completely secure, just the feeling that somewhere in the city, someone was waiting for night to come. Richard Ramirez carried out a series of attacks across California between 1984 and 1985. He mainly targeted people inside their homes during the night, often entering through unlocked doors or windows. His approach was quiet and unpredictable, which made it difficult for people to detect or prevent. Unlike many criminals, Ramirez did not follow a consistent pattern. He did not target a specific type of victim, and his attacks happened in different neighborhoods across the region. This made it hard for investigators to connect the cases at first and understand who they were looking for. He also did not rely on a single method. In many cases, he used whatever was available inside the home, which added to the randomness of his crimes. Because of this, each incident appeared different, even though they were connected. The only consistent detail was the timing. The attacks happened late at night, when victims were most vulnerable and less likely to react quickly. In some cases, Ramirez left symbols at the scene, which increased public fear and added another layer of mystery to the investigation. Overall, his lack of pattern, wide range of victims, and nighttime activity made him especially difficult for law enforcement to track. But then, one mistake changed everything. After months of fear and no clear suspect, investigators finally found something real, a fingerprint, left behind at one of the crime scenes. It was small, but it was enough. For the first time, this wasn't just a mystery anymore. It was something they could track, something they could connect to a real person. Police ran the print through their system, and eventually, it led them to a name: Richard Ramirez. Now everything started to move faster. The investigation shifted. The focus became clear. This wasn't an unknown threat anymore. This was someone with an identity, someone who could be recognized. Authorities released his photo to the public. It appeared on television, in newspapers, everywhere people looked. And just like that, the fear changed. Before, people were afraid of the unknown. Now, they were looking directly at it. His face became recognizable, memorable, and suddenly, millions of people were watching, waiting, paying attention to every detail, because now they knew the man they were afraid of was out there, and anyone could be the one to see him next. In 1985, everything finally came to an end. After his face had been shared across the country, it didn't take long for someone to recognize him. But this time, he couldn't disappear into the night. He was spotted in a neighborhood, surrounded by ordinary people who knew exactly who they were looking at. And in that moment, everything changed. Instead of running away from him, they ran toward him. Word spread quickly. People began to gather. More and more joined in, until it wasn't just one person chasing him. It was a crowd. He tried to escape, moving through streets, looking for a way out, but there was nowhere left to go. Every direction closed in, every path blocked. The same kind of fear he had created was now being turned back on him. The crowd surrounded him. They stopped him, held him there, refusing to let him get away, until police finally arrived. After months of uncertainty, after months of fear, it was over. The man who had terrified an entire city was finally caught,